Former Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak has died at the age of 91. Mubarak came to power in the early 1980s and ruled Egypt for 3 decades. During that time, he forged stronger ties with the United States and Israel while crushing opposition at home. That was until 2011, when he was ousted from power during the Arab Spring. After more than 1 million Egyptians, angry about poverty and repression, called for him to go, he ceded control to the military. He served time in prison, but his conviction was later overturned.
It was one last triumph for Hosni Mubarak. Egypt's former president was acquitted after a trial that lasted years. The judges found him innocent of involvement in the killing of protesters during the 2011 Arab Spring uprising that ended his 30-year rule. His career ended with a revolution. It began with an assassination. In October 1981, at a military parade, Islamist militants shot and killed then-President Anwar Sadat. Mubarak, the vice president, escaped with minor injuries and took over the presidency. In the same year, he implemented emergency laws as part of his battle against militants. He also expanded police powers. In another of his first moves, he told the US he would stick by his country's 1979 peace agreement with Israel, the first by any Arab nation. Mubarak became an important mediator between Israel and the Palestinians. For 3 decades, he was seen as a guarantor of stability in the Middle East. In return, his country was given billions of dollars in aid from the US. He was courted in Europe and respected by Israelis and Arabs alike. But at home, Mubarak showed a different face. He cracked down on Islamists after they orchestrated attacks and threatened his rule. Egypt's democracy was little more than a facade. All elections were rigged. Mubarak did little to address the poverty afflicting millions of Egyptians, as his inner circle and his own family became wealthy. As Egyptians' resentment grew and mass demonstrations broke out, Mubarak reacted with force. When that failed to curb the protests, he attempted to make concessions. But in the end, the might of the Arab masses forced him to step down. Mubarak was put on trial and jailed for 6 years, mostly spent in a military prison. Having served his sentence for corruption, the former president was released and returned home to his villa, one of many properties owned by his family. His wife and sons administered the assets accumulated during his time in office. Mubarak ruled Egypt for 30 years, honoured and feared in equal measure.